I want to start off by giving a big up to the Most High and the Son, Yahweh Shai. I know y'all see the title, World War III, what is it good for? We're going to go into they call the seven trumpets. And, as we can, as we have seen, because we have went through with the seven seals yesterday or something. So, as we can see, is like reading Revelation is not, all mysterious and mystifying like how they put it. Yeah, it's written in allegorically and metaphorically, but we can see that we actually just getting a lesson in history. Because, a lot of these, trumpets and seals, we can match up to previous historical events. So, other than like the fact that the sixth and the seventh, things haven't happened yet, those are more so the future. Or, somewhat in the current making now. So yeah, we're gonna get into let's just start at Revelation 8 and 6, and so like I said, we're just gonna start with the trumpets and get a little understanding, because like I said, in church, they don't, they're not gonna get into Revelation. They're gonna say like, oh yeah, it's kind of, you know they're gonna make up some reason, why not to get into it, or they're gonna talk, likely around it. So, but yeah, we're gonna start off with Revelation 8 and 6, 8 and 6. So, but yeah, like I said, so went through the seven seals. Now we get into the trumpet. So now, and to give you a visual too, because John is like seeing these future events for him play out as these seals is being broken, and as the seals being broken, the trumpets in the background, angels turning up, because they, happy, to see the judgment of the Lord that's, finally coming to the earth. So they partying in the back, playing the trumpets. So then as the trumpets blow, he's seeing these visions at the same time as the seals is being broken. So that's the visual that, we see, so, well, he's seeing, should I say. But so yeah, we're gonna start at 6, right? So it says, um, and a seventh angel which had the seven trumpets prepared themselves to sound, right? So now you got the seven, the seven angels. They standing up, they got their trumpets, cause they ready to, play and announce the events that's about to take place on earth. That's why they blowing the trumpets. The trumpets is like an announcement as the seals, being broken to announce, what's gonna, take place. And a lot of these things, like I said, it's not like this one single event. They might take a historical event and and kind of pinpoint on that. But when you go through these trumpets, you can see it's like a length of time that these events, play out. And like I said, we're still in the fifth, leaving the fourth trumpet, into the fifth trumpet now. Uh, the fifth seal now, right? So it says, and the seventh angel, which had seven trumpets, prepared themselves to sound, right? So then it says, and the first angel sound, and there followed hell and fire and mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all of the green grass was burnt up, right? So now when you get into that, that's talking about Israel. The trees and the grass is the northern kingdom, southern kingdom. And, because like I said, the Bible uses metaphors, describes us as trees, grass, animals. It all depends on the context. So let's get that right. Let's go to, first let's go to Ezekiel 5:1. So now this is Ezekiel 5:1. It says, and thou son of man, take thee a sharp knife. So the Lord was telling Ezekiel, take a sharp knife and take thee a barber's razor and cut it and cut past it upon thy head and thy beard, and take the balance and weigh it and divide the hairs, right? So he's telling them to divide the hairs. Daddy, after he, shave his head bald. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part of yeah, okay. Thou shalt burn with fire a third part in the midst of the city when the day of the siege are fulfilled, right? So what it say in Revelation 8 and 6? It says, and at 7, and the first angel sound, and the hell and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up. So, as we can see, God is, gave the prophecy to Ezekiel, you know, about the third part being burnt up. And we see it being played out in Revelation, and as John see it. So, let's get Mark 8 and 24 real quick. To prove that, man is like, likened to trees, animals, sometimes it all depends. So, what I say, Mark, so just, I'm start at 23, Mark 8 and 23. And he looked, and the blind man, and he looked the blind man by the, okay, I'm sorry, yeah, and he took the blind man by the hand and held out and held and led him out of town. And when he had spit on his eyes and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw up, right? So, and he looked up and said, I see men as trees. So Yahweh Shaddai healed the blind man, and as the blind man looking to see, he see people as trees. Let's go back to Revelation 7. And it says, 8 and 7, and the first angel sounded and followed hell and fire and mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees was burnt up, and all the green grass, right? So, like I said, so the Bible likened men to trees sometimes, or animals, or stars, or, it all, like I said, it all depends on the context. Let's get Job 5 and 25 real quick. So we see in Ezekiel a third part of his hair is getting burnt up, and then we see in Revelation as as it coincides that a third part of Israelites is getting burnt up. So yeah, now this Job. Job 5 and 25. Thou shalt know that thy seed shall be great, and thy offspring shall be as the green earth. So, like I said, people is, the Israelites are likened to grass, trees, a lot of times. Let's get 19 and 26 real quick. Job 19 and 26. That's the one I want to see. Is it 19 and 26? I'm sorry, 2 Kings, 2 Kings 19 26. Boom. 2 Kings. So yeah, 2 Kings 19 and 26. Therefore, their inhabitants were small power. They were dismayed and confounded. They were as grass of the field. So, like I said, the Bible likened the people as grass or trees. So, just like it says in Revelation, third part of the grass was burned, and then it says they were as grass of the field, and as the green herb, as the grass of the house, as the house tops, and as the corn glass before uh, it grew up. Right. So now let's go to Revelation 3:7 real quick. I believe. I want. All right, now okay, now my hold that one. So now I don't want that one. But so like I said, we can see that it's like man is being likened to trees. So let's go to Psalms 11 and 6 real quick. So we gotta understand that like I said, the Bible speak metaphorical a lot of times, and so we gotta break this down to get the proper understanding. So we go to that part in the Bible. I kind of read it real quick. Um, so 11 and 6. And he should. The one I want. Psalm 11 and 6. And he should show thee the secrets of wisdom are double that which is. So it's saying that the secrets of wisdom sometimes is double. That's why, like I said, the trees and stuff, they can go manifold for like people, in other nations and stuff. And so it says, so let's get it. Let's go back to Revelation, right? So, and the seven angels sounded, and there followed hell and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth, and the third part of the trees were burnt up. All the green grass was burnt up. So, like I said, we got that understanding that the trees is talking about Israel, because, like I said, this is going into when these other countries attack America and start dropping these bombs, and so a lot of us gonna get caught up in it too. So just because we're Israel doesn't exempt us from all the stuff that's about to happen. Unless we get the proper protection by coming back to our nationality and our culture and keeping the commandments and the faith. So right. So it says, and the second angel sounded. And the second angel sounded. So now, and two, matter of fact, well, let me break it down like this. Uh, actually, too, it's kind of like I said, it's manifold. So it's actually two. First one is kind of going into 70 A.D. too, like when the Romans came in and ran us out of Jerusalem, and we had got split up, and it's going into those the green earth and the trees getting burnt up, also that way. But like I said, it's manifold. So and the second angel sounded, and a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. So, like I said, when you can you can Google this. The Spanish Armada. This is the Spanish Navy was that great mountain that fired that great mountain that was cast into the sea, because they had like the biggest navy during that time. In 1492, they were uh, circumnavigating the world and going to different areas and stuff. So and they had the Atlantic on lock for a while. So there was that great mountain, and it says second angel sounded, and there was a great mountain burning with fire, and was cast into the sea, and it became, and third part of it became blood. And so now that but then it's also telling you that so in the third part of all the creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So now that great mountain, which was the Spanish Navy, they got taken out of power. And then, like I said, you can Google this history, you can research this history. Also, they got taken out by the British Navy, because we know that the British, at one point had the largest, biggest navy, most powerful navy, because then they ended up taking over everything, and then, further uh, globalizing and commercializing slavery, which we're about to get into. Also, after they took over, because the Spanish conquest, they was already shipping our Northern Kingdom brothers, our Hispanic, Latino tribes, to Spain and Europe and elsewhere. And like I said, you can Google the Mexican diaspora outside of Mexico, the biggest population, I believe, is in Russia. Um, and you got to ask yourself, how did so many Mexicans get to Russia? Through slavery and through conquest and through Christopher Columbus. Christopher killing Columbus, I like to say. So yeah, let's get uh in fact, yeah, let's get Amos 7 real quick. So, like I said, so we gonna, like I said, as we reading this, all we see is history. We're not, getting into no, some mystical, like how they look at the dragon as some type of, mystical thing. But no, the dragon is just the system of the beast, the government systems that's, in charge of in charge of running the world, right? So this says 7 and 4. Thus said the Lord, uh, thus said Yahweh thy power, uh, show unto me, behold, uh, Yahweh, Yahweh, uh, Yahweh thy power called to contend by fire, and devour the great deep, and eat up a part, right? So that's what we see. So Amos is prophesying, about, you know, the great deep. The great deep is, the ocean. And like I said, so in yeah, it says, thus said the Lord, show him. Thus said the Lord God, show unto me, and behold, the Lord God called to contend by fire. So that's what we see. Like I said, he's coming with the fire, and that's what we see that what happened to the Spanish Navy when they got destroyed, and contend with fire, and destroyed in a great deep, and then eat up a part, right? So let's go back to 8. So the second angel sounded, and there were a great mountain burning with fire, and cast into the sea. And the third part of the sea became blood. And the third part of the creatures were in the sea had died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. So yeah, when you get into that history too, like I said, the Spanish Navy had like 130 some ships, I want to say, and a third of them, got destroyed, and they essentially got taken out of power by the British Navy. So it says, now we get into 10. Let's go to, let's go to Isaiah, let's go to Isaiah first. Isaiah 2. And it says, and it shall come to pass in the last days that mountain of the Lord Yahweh house shall be established on the tops of the mountains and shall be exalted above the hills, and all of the nations shall flow onto it. So, like I said, we can see that mountains is likened to people and nations and countries, just like trees and grass was also likened to, to us. And it's talking about the mountain of Israel, talking about the nation of Israel. So, as we can see, that mountain is that empire, that governmental system. So, let's get Lamentations 3 and 19 real quick. So it says, remember my affliction, Lamentations 3 and 19, remember my affliction and my misery, uh, the wormwood of the gall, right? So, like I said, so, so this is getting into, our affliction, our, the stuff that, we end up suffering on this side of the world through conquest, slavery. So it says, and it came another star, uh, and it came another star called wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died from the waters and became and made bitter. So wormwood, like I said, that's talking about slavery, bondage. When you get into the uh, wormwood. So let's get Jeremiah 9 and 13 real quick. So yeah, wormwood is, it's slavery, it's hard times, it's everything that we went through. I mean, we know the history, of the stuff that we suffered, being in this nation, you know. So that's what, wormwood is, and the stuff that we're still going through, you know, in 2022, So it says, Jeremiah 9 and 13, and the Lord and Yahweh said, because they have forsaken my law, which I had set before them, I have not and have not obeyed my voice, neither walked therein, but have walked after the imaginations of their own heart, and after Baal their fathers taught them. So that's what we've been doing too, in these last days, walking after our own hearts. Because you go to church, pastors say, yeah, just follow your heart. You know, it's or you say like, yeah, the Lord know my heart or whatever. But following your own heart, as we can see, can cause you to go off, especially if you're not, doing what does said the Lord. And a lot of times we end up doing what we want to do, or thinking what we want to do, and not following the plan that God set for us. So, and it says, let's get Isaiah 30 and 20 real quick. Isaiah 30 and 20. Although the Lord give you bread of adversity and water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed unto a corner anymore, but thy eyes shall see thy teachers. So that's what we're getting ready to see in these last days. It said your teachers will not be removed in the corner no more. Because like we was going over yesterday, like a lot of slaves during that time, they knew who we were. When they that's why a lot of times we wasn't allowed to read the Bible. And Nat Turner, he was moving to that corner that Isaiah is talking about. He couldn't just openly and teach. He had to wait till Master wasn't around to teach the people what the Bible really said. I mean, and like I said, then he started a revolution off of that. I mean, almost every major revolution that we had was backed by the Bible, because we understood that this Bible deals with revolution. It deals with the oppressed and the oppressor, and it tells you how to get out of that. And like I said, and we are the oppressed. And it says, give you bread bread of adversity and water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore, but thy eyes shall see thy teachers. So yeah, now we able to see our teachers. We able to see the people that has the understanding. We able to go on our phone and search information and you know and get a better understanding and don't have to accept the lies that we've been told. And that's what a lot of times we do. Because we don't do that extra research. So go to Lamentation 3:19 real quick. Wait, do I want to? Wait, which one? 2:19. No, we don't have that one. But we're gonna get back to Revelation because I don't want to be too long here. So like Wormwood. Then we got like it says in Deuteronomy 68, 28 and 68. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt not see it no more again, and thou shalt be sold unto your enemy for bondmen and bondwomen." So that's what we see, that wormwood, slavery, and so like I said, and all that's recorded, and this is just giving like a brief synopsis of, this events that happened in history, and just let you know like the signs to look for. And and the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So church. I heard like a Christian or something. One of those people that go to church break this down like, and they made it seem so mystical, like like so spooky. About the stars and all that stuff. Like like you're just gonna see stars falling. It's not talking about that. Like I said, it's a metaphor for people. And stars is often likened to people, right? And so when we get that understanding, we can see that it's talking about Israel, the moon and the sun. It's talking about uh, Judah and Israel, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And it's talking about when it says um, and it says that a third part of them was darkened, right? And that darkened is that light, that knowledge, that understanding that we had of who our people was. Because when we came over here, a lot of us knew when we came over here, but then they end up beating it out of us. So it says that light that we had, that knowledge, that understanding is going to be darkened a little bit. So we're not going to fully have that understanding of who he is. Some of us gonna get it, or at least have some semblance of who we are. But for the most part, that knowledge is gonna be kind of hidden from us. That's what happened in slavery, because we end up, taking on other people's names, not by choice, you know, and you know, and our language got beat out of us, our culture, everything. So that knowledge was smitten. So let's get Matthew 13 and 43 real quick. Yeah, and it says, "Thy righteousness shine forth as the sun of the kingdom of their fathers, who have ears to hear, let them hear." So, like I said, your righteousness, your knowledge, you know, that's your light, that's your shining, that's that glow that you got. So when it's talking about in Revelation that the sun and the moon lost, a third of its light, it's talking about that knowledge, our understanding of who he is. That's why a lot of us are still lost now. Because we still are, that light, has been dim. But now that light is, brightening up. A lot of us are starting to realize, who we is. Because we're looking at how the world is going. So let's go to uh, back to 12. And the fourth angel, Revelation 8 and 12. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten, and the third part of the moon, and the third part of the stars. So the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for the third part of it, and the night likewise. So, like I said, we didn't have that knowledge. We was beaten down, bad. We didn't have that understanding of who we was because our knowledge was taken during slavery. And so like I said, so then we get let's go to 13. And I beheld and heard an angel flying through in the midst of the heaven, saying with a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe!" Now this is talking about World War I, World War II, and World War III. That's where you get the woes from. So it says, "Woe, woe, woe!" To the inhabitants of the earth uh, uh, for the reason of other voices and the trumpets and their angels which were yet to sound, right? So it's talking about World War. So this is um. So John is seeing like the revealing of like World War One. So he saw like us going through captivity. So now after this captivity thing, so now another trumpet blows. So now the angels telling them like, man, woe to the people on the planet because of this war that's about to happen. So we're gonna so now it's gonna kind of briefly get into World War I, and so now it says which are not yet sound. So it says the voices of the trumpets of the third angels which yet not sound, meaning these wars haven't happened yet. But we know through history that World War I happened and World War II, and we in the beginning stages of World War III. So but during John's time, this is like 70 A.D. around that time or something like that. You know, um, of course, World War III haven't happened, slavery haven't happened, all that European conquest stuff haven't happened yet. So he's seeing it, as future events. But we know history, so we know that these things came to pass. This is how we know that the Bible is true. So then it says, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and unto him was given the key to the bottomless pit. So now this is the part where um, it gets spooky for some people. The key to the angel fall, they got the key to the bottomless pit. So people think they're talking about hell. But we already know that hell is just a condition. Nobody dies and go to hell. Nobody doesn't go to heaven. Everybody dies and go to the same place. Then your spirit gets judged. Then in a regeneration, in a generation or so, you come back. Another body, another person, another life. And then you live out your whatever you're going through in that life. You just living out your judgment from what you did in the previous life. But the church would take this and be like, oh yeah, hell, and you're gonna burn in hell and all that stuff. But we're gonna understand that this bottomless pit is talking about Europe. And the reason why it's called the bottomless pit because they have no natural resources that they export out. Everything that Europe has, they import it in, then they export it out. And their main export is their motor vehicles. They don't have like crops and all that stuff like that. So when you look at the map of the countries with natural resources, you see a big gray area for Europe because that's the bottomless pit. They don't have natural resources like that. That's why they go to other countries and around the world robbing and stealing and taking everything and trying their best to control all the different infrastructures of the world, right? So it says it was given to him the key to the bottomless pit. And that angel too is getting into. You can Google this. Kaiser Wilhelm is that angel of the bottomless pit. He was the last king, that had his little kingdom, before like they, took the power away from the monarchs and all that. So-called took the power away from the monarchs, and Europe stopped being ran by, kings and shit like that. But he was holding on though. He like, man, I got this empire, and I ain't letting it go. So he fought for it. So he was that angel in the bottomless pit that was holding the keys to death because he got it cracking. He helped bring in World War I. So it says, and opened up the bottomless pit, and rose up smoke out of the pit, and smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened by reason of smoke of the pit. Right. So now when you watch videos of World War I, you can see, not just because it's black and white, but you can see how hazy and foggy World War I was. Because, like I said, when once they went to battle, because they was fighting with chemical warfare. They was throwing little mustard bombs and mustard bombs, whatever how you say it, and all this other little chemical stuff. Causing all this haze and dust to kick up. So it's saying that smoke was, but in church they'll say, oh yeah, that's the hellfire and the smoke coming up, and no, it's talking about people dying. That's what it's talking about. It's talking about warfare. It's talking about the smoke and the chaos that goes on during warfare. How hazy it be. Everybody running every which way. You got, dust, things blowing up around you. That's what it's talking about. And in a great furnace, like the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke from the pit. Meaning, like I said, when you watch those World War I videos, you can see how dark it was during, how cloudy and smoky it was that they was when they was fighting. And it says, um, and there it came out of the smoke of locusts upon the earth, and upon them was given the power as scorpions. Right? So now, you know, it says, so the locusts are those World War I airplanes that's flying. And if you look at their formations, like I said, just watch a World War I, documentary. You'll see how the planes used to fly and how they used to cover up the sky as they fly. And back then the engines were so loud, sound like buzz, like a whole bunch of bugs. So as John's seeing this, 'cause you got to remember this man lived in 70 AD. They didn't have airplanes like that. So in this technical reference, he can liken it to a whole swarm of locusts. As he see, going into battle. Then it says like scorpions, and you look at the World War I planes. The World War I planes had two people, right? They had the pilot and they had the gunner, and the gunner set in the back. And where's the scorpion, defense thing at? In the back, his stinger, his tail. So what John is seeing, he's seeing these gunners in the back of these planes that's shooting it out with the other plane. Because it's the back of the plane, so that makes it the scorpion's tail, right? So so it says, and there came out of the smoke locusts from upon the earth, and unto them was given the power of scorpions. Because, like I said, the scorpions was those gunners that sit in the back of the planes that they can, how it was, they rotate, like do a little 360, they can turn and shoot, from the back. And came out of the smoke of locusts upon the earth, unto them were given power to the scorpion and to the earth of the earth to have power, right? So they was controlling things, right? Because the world was at war, it wasn't shit happening because the planes was flying in the air, wasn't no travel, you couldn't go vacate over here because the air was being taken over because all these countries was fighting each other. And it says, and it was commanded to them they should not hurt the grass in the earth. So we read in the last chapter that the grass and the earth was Israelites, right? So now y'all can Google this, right? I'm not going to tell you anything that you can't Google or research on your own time. If I can't pull the source myself, I'm gonna tell you where you can find it. You Google this. Out of the so-called African Americans that fought in World War I, I want to say it says between 40 and 50,000 people fought in World War I, right? Of our people, black people fought in World War I, between 40 and 50,000. Guess how many died? Basically none. It says, I looked it up the other day, I think it was 760 something people died out of 40,000. Ain't that something? And the Bible says, hurt not the green earth, hurt not the grass or the earth. And like I said, we are that grass and that earth. We the Israelites. And and I'm willing to tell you, I'm going on record on it. The people that did, because like then you got another stat that says 10,000 Jamaicans fought in World War One. World War One. And out of those 10,000 Jamaicans, guess how many people died out of those 10,000 Jamaicans that fought? 18. So it says and to them it was given that they should not. Let me jump up. And it was commanded to them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither the green things, neither any tree, but those men uh, with not have the seal of God on their foreheads. So I'm willing to say that those people that did, those 18 so-called Jamaicans that did die out of the 10,000, because the Bible says none of us was going to die in World War One, and I believe that because the Bible said it. So I'm willing to say those 18 people that died, they probably was terrorists. They probably came from the Esau lineage or whatever, you know. Um, and then those 760 so-called African Americans that died out of 40,000 or 50,000, they say. I'm saying that they had white daddies too, because the Bible said that we wasn't gonna die in World War One. We had the lowest fatalities. Y'all seen the movie Red Tails? Y'all saw how much damage we was doing in the movie Red Tails. Ain't none of them died, you know. So that's what happens. So, like I said, we're reading history. We're not reading some mystical thing. Everything that we read, we can match it up to historical events. It's just giving you paraphrases of things. It's not going to go word for word, you know, on historical accounts, but it's just giving you certain events that we can pinpoint. And, with the proper understanding, we can see these things. And, especially if you have an understanding of world history. So, and and it was given to them, they should not kill them, but they should torment them for 5 months. So 5 months is allegorical for 5 years, because we know World War One lasted for about 5 years. So it says that they should not kill them, but torment them. So a lot of our people got jacked up. They lost their arms, they lost their legs, but they still live. And that's why they end up inventing morphine and all that stuff, because they didn't really have too many doctors around to to help, because a lot of us was getting jacked up, and a lot of people, not us, but the other soldiers as well. So and so like I said, you was getting jacked up, and says to torment us. So like I said, you can see like World War One videos. I heard somebody saying it, and it's true because I've seen it myself too. People with half their head blown off, with a little bandage on, smoking a cigarette. Because God wasn't allowing people to. That's why, like, as kids, we seen a lot of amputees growing up that fought in the war, because God wasn't allowing certain people to die because He wanted to torture them. It sounds, I know how it sounds, but that's what the Lord said. I mean, we can't fight against that. And and then and we perhaps had a free. So and it says in the locust, yeah, it says, and they should not torment them for 5 months, and it was uh and uh and their torment was as torment of scorpions strike men, right? And all right, verse 6, in all those days shall men seek death. So they was seeking death. They wanted to die when, their arm got blown off, their legs got taken off. You saw was that Forrest Gump when Lieutenant Dan lost his legs. He wanted to die right there. So they wanted to die. People wanted to, but they was keeping them alive. They had that morphine. They had that, stuff. You know, to get them through it. But they was begging for death. You see those war movies. They be screaming for their mommy and stuff like that. That's what was going on in war. It wasn't nothing pleasant. And so like I said, it was going down. And where we at? So in those days, men should seek death and not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. So like I said, that's what happened. A lot of them came back all jacked up, crazy as hell, mental problems, shell shock, a lot of different things happened to them. And then it says, and the shape of the locusts were like unto horses, prepared unto battle, and their heads were like crowns of gold. So, like I said, you look at the old footage of Germany and that area, how the soldiers dressed. They used to wear the little pointed hats and the little had long little look like horsehair or something hanging from the side. I don't know what they called it. So that's why they said they, where am I? They had crowns of gold, talking about the helmets they wore. Their faces were like a men because they were men, but they had these little crazy style type helmets. We seen them with the little point on top and like I said, the little hair, almost like the Trojan type helmets or whatever, right? Um, then and they had faces like men, and they had hair like as hair of women, talking about the long little frizzy stuff they used to have hanging on the side. Uh, they had uh, they had hair like women and teeth like lions, and their breastplate was as whereas breastplate of iron, talking about the airplanes reinforced steel, from the bullets and stuff that they used to shoot at each other when they had those dog fights, and so like when they had those dog fights, so they reinforced the steel. So it's talking about their breastplate was of iron, and the sound of their wings were like the sound of chariots and many horses running to battle. But like I said, back in the day, those World War I planes were super loud. The engines was real loud. Like I said, we can watch the documentaries of World War I and just see everything that we reading and how it matches up with it. So then I would say, and they had tails like scorpions, and there were stingers in their tail. We're talking about those gunners that sat in the back of those planes that was able to shoot from the back. Um, their and their power was to hurt men 5 months. Cause like I said, the war lasted for 5 months. So let's jump to Daniel 10 real quick. Daniel, brother Daniel, really quick. So find it real quick. But yeah, so like I said, so these ships and stuff, they was these airplanes, like I said, they was going to war, and it's describing how they look, and and just to the detail that he can explain it with his understanding, because like I said, they didn't have planes like that back then, so he explained it to his best of his ability. So it's go to Daniel 13. I went down. Go to 5. But no, okay, yeah, my bad. So no, but so no, yeah, so no, I don't need Daniel. Thought I probably pulled Daniel, but no. So so yeah, where we at? So like I said, getting into the planes. So now it's about to somewhat you know, somewhat transition into World War III. Um, so it says, and they were given, and they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is in the Hebrew tongue, Abaddon, and in the Greek, Apollyon. So, like I said, when you do the history on Kaiser Wilhelm, that was one of his nicknames too. Like they used to, call him that. And so like I said, then he built a statue of himself to look like Apollo and all of that stuff. So like I said, all the stuff you can check out for yourself, and about like Kaiser Wilhelm and like I said, how he built him a like his statue made his statue look like made him look like Apollo. And so it says one woe is past, and behold comes two woes, talking about World War II, and two woes and more hereafter. So it's talking about World War II. So it didn't get into World War II. It kind of jumped into World War III. Then it says, and the sixth angel sealed, and I heard a voice from the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, right? So now we're in the sixth seal, you know, and so World War One and World War Two, that happened, and then so now it's talking about the sixth seal, and the sixth angel sounded, and I heard a voice of the four horns of the golden altar, which is before God, saying, the sixth angel had the trumpet loose, and the four angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates, and the four angels were loose, which were prepared for an hour, and a day, and a month, and a year, to slay a third part of men. So when this World War III kick off, it says like a third of the population, is going to be killed during this war. And and then and the number of the army of the horsemen was 200,000, and I heard the number of them. And so, like I said, when you get into the Greek 200,000, like I said, that just basically a number that he couldn't count. There's just so many. And and thus I saw a horse in a vision and of them that sat on it, having a breastplate of fire, and John's and a brimstone, and a head of a horse were as a head of a lion, and out of his mouth issued fire and smoke and brimstone. So this is talking about World War III planes now, and it's talking about how these planes, you know, can open up and spit out these rockets and shoot these rockets and cause fire and brimstone on whatever they hit. And that's what we can see. Like you see how like the bottom of the aircraft open up and the rocket comes down and just and flies on out. So that's what he's seeing. And then it says, for their power is in their mouth, and their tails were like a tail like of serpents, meaning they had a long trail of smoke as the plane fly. Cause we see like those aircrafts when they fly, the little smoke that it leaves behind it. Cause we see it in the air shows that they do. So that's why it's like a serpent, and his head uh, was like a serpent and had heads, and with them they do hurt. So like I said, they dropping bombs on people. That's what these planes is out here doing, and they causing destruction and havoc during this World War III. And and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hand, and they should not uh, and they should not worship devils, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear or walk. So, and even all this hell that's going on, you still gonna have people that's still not gonna want to believe, think the Bible is fake. You know, still, trusting in religion, following a false religion instead of following the truth of the Bible. You're gonna just, so it's gonna be a lot of hell breaking out, and people are gonna see it, and they still not gonna want to believe, or still not gonna get their act together, or they might double down on what they're doing and say, forget the whole everything, all this stuff happening, forget it, none of this stuff real, because all this is happening. So then they might lose faith, you know. So it's so it's a lot. And let me get Isaiah 24 and 20 real quick. So Isaiah and 20, Isaiah 24 and 20. And the third, and the earth shall reel back, the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. So it's saying when these bombs go off, it says the earth is going to be tilting back and forth. It's going to be like earthquake, seismic activity. Because these is nukes they got that they dropping. And, like I said, it's going to cause the ground to shake. And the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed from a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. So that's what's getting ready to happen. Like these kingdoms that's empowered through nuclear war, that Yahweh's going to take them out. And let's get Psalms real quick. On 140. I say I want it. Yeah, 149 and 5. So let the saints be joyful. This is Psalm 149 and 5. Let the saints be joyful and glory, and let them sing and loud upon their beds, right? So, like I said, boom, boom, boom. So, but in that day we're gonna be joyful, during that time. The earth gonna be too, rocking back and forth to war, but the saints is gonna be joyful. The ones that keeping the faith and understanding these prophecies and seeing that the Lord, like all the stuff that's happening, is basically God fighting for Israel, like He did in Egypt, how He took Egypt down. But instead of Him taking one nation down, He's taking down not just America, but all these other nations that had a hand in our downfall and continue to oppress us in various ways. So let's get So it says their power, back to Revelation 9 and 19. And their power was in their mouth and their tails, uh, for their tails were like unto scorpions, and had heads with them, and they do hurt. And the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, and they should not that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone, and the stone and the wood, which neither can see nor hear. Neither repented they of their murder, nor of their sorcery, nor of their fornication, nor of their theft. So, like I said, people still gonna be stuck in their ways, even though like they're gonna see like society falling around them slowly, or they're gonna be going through these different you know they might be in a target area where it just been hit with a bomb, and they gonna be still trying to, you know, come back and get their stuff together. They still gonna be like, all right, still living their life. And so let's jump down to, we're gonna jump to chapter 11. So, like I said, so that's what a lot of us gonna be at. Sadly to say, a lot of us gonna be still stuck in that mode. Even with all hell breaking out. And it could be for various reasons. People end up losing faith, or they, just just too stubborn, or whatever the case may be. And so this chapter 11, verse 1. And there were given me a reed unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple and the altar of them that worship therein. So God, so John is getting a measuring stick so he can measure the Israelites, the ones that is going to make it to the, after all of this stuff. It says, the court, but the court that's without the temple leave out and measure not, for it is given unto the Gentiles. So, like I said, so now the temple of God, is being set up, and the temple of God is the people. And so that's how you know that everybody can't be saved, because it's telling you that, measure the temple of God, but everything else don't measure it, because that's for the Gentiles. Leave that, for them. So, so it says, but the court was, but the court which is without the temple leave out and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles in the holy city. They tread under foot 40 and 2 months, right? So that's prophetic. Let's get Matthew 15:24 real quick. Because like I said, so it's telling you, not to worry about the Gentiles. Just worry about the Israelites. Because and it says that they tried it. It says they tread under the holy city, so they tread underfoot, right? So, like I said, they over in the land right now, living it up, calling themselves us, and and so they treading on the land now. So he said, don't measure it, don't measure it right now, don't measure that. So this hold on, Matthew 20. So it says, but he is not, Matthew 5:15-24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So, like I said, so we can see when it says that, when it says, and it was given to me a rod, a reed to like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, rise and measure the temple of God and the altar of them that worship therein. So, like I said, so we can see that Jesus himself says, but I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And so we can get, let's start off at 22. It says, behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievous and vexed with devils. So this Canaanite woman, which was a Greek, and we know what Greeks is, so-called white people. She asked, she came to Jesus and asked him, to help heal her daughter. And he said, but he answered her not a word. So, pastor and they act like, they try to make, Jesus seem like he came for everybody. Here this white woman coming up to Jesus saying that, hey, heal my daughter, she got devils on her. But he answered her not a word. He answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, So even the disciples like, man, get this woman away from us. So she asked Jesus to bless, to heal her daughter. He ignored her. Then she's still following him behind him. And the disciples like, well, hey, Jesus, why don't you just tell her to get up out of here, right? Tell her to leave. She keep following us, right? It says, but he answered her not a word, and his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she's cry after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So, you have to tell her, like, look, I'm only came for my people. You know. So, like I said, so that's, and that's what, who the saints is. Then let's get Ezekiel real quick. I think I want, to see. Is that nine? That's four or nine. No, right, 90. I think it's 19. My bad, hold on one second. So, all right, okay. Well, now we're gonna hold that. But so it says, and I will give thee power over the two witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,203 days, clothed in sackcloth. So it's talking about the two witnesses, and these are two olive trees, which are uh, these are two olive trees and the two candlesticks standing before the God of the earth. And if any man should hurt them, fire proceed out of their mouths and devour their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, uh, he must in this manner be killed. So it's kind of getting into like Moses and Ezekiel. Um, Not Ezekiel, Elijah, because when they was here, they was able to do these certain prophecies and not prophecies, certain miracles, and like calling fire from earth, from heaven, and causing droughts and all that, stuff. Um, I'm gonna jump down to 11 and 7, and when they showed, when they had finished their testimony, the beast sat and ascended out of the bottomless pit and make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them. Right. So now it's now it's talking about how after you know like all this stuff, how we got persecuted, and that was like during the early 1900s, what the Civil War and all that different stuff, and then not only that, but then in slavery, it says and their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of that great city which is spiritually called Sodom in Egypt, uh, where also our Lord was crucified. So, and our great bodies that's laying in the streets, like I said, because we was getting killed here, and all over the world they can see, like, and they know about, how America been treated. And it says, and they that dwell upon the earth, um, hold on, and the people, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. So it's talking about that time period, the length of time period during slavery, of us being tortured and and being killed, and all the other nations knowing what's going on here in America and not doing anything about it. And and it says, and they shall dwell, and they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts to one another, because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth. Talking about, us Israelites, Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom. Um, like I said, so they was, happy that they had us in subjugation, that we were, enslaved in all different nations, you know. So, they rejoiced after that. So, it said 12, and they heard a voice from heaven saying unto them, Come hither. And they ascended up to the heaven in clouds, and their enemies beheld them. Right? So, like I said, to get context, so this is all during World War III. So as this is happening, you know, hopefully we be a part of that number. We get delivered, and it says our enemies is gonna, what is it? And they ascended up, and and I heard a great voice from heaven saying, "Come on, saying unto them, Come up hither." And they ascended up in heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And so they're gonna see us getting delivered, and they're gonna be looking and watching, like, what these niggas and Spicks and doing, what, why they getting, what's up with them? They're gonna be looking like, wow, at all, you know, they're not gonna believe it. They're gonna, at that point, they're gonna understand who we is. They're gonna understand that we are, God's chosen people. And then it says, and in the same hour there were a great earthquake, and the tenth part of the city fell, and the earthquake slain men slay men 7,000, and the remnant were afraid, and gave glory to the God of heaven, right? So now that's getting into when that America finally gets destroyed, and you know like finally, when that nuclear bomb goes off and it finally gets destroyed, and we at the same time these bombs is hitting, we getting delivered, and then we're gonna be rejoicing because we're getting taken up out of this place miraculously, as these bombs is hitting this place. And then it says and it was slain 1,000, 7,000, and the remnant, and that 7,000 just a completion, like just a Hebrew slang for a complete amount of people, meaning everybody. And it says, in the 10th part of the great city it was destroyed, all right? So now when you get into the FEMA camps, the FEMA zones, FEMA got this country broken into 10 different zones. So when it says that 10 part were destroyed, meaning all 10 of these different zones that FEMA broke up is going to be hit with nuclear fire, and it's going to be destroyed. And it says, and the 10th part of the city fell, and in the earthquake were slain men 7,000, and the remnant were afraid. And the remnant is us, the ones that made it out. And it says was afraid, and gave glory to the God of heaven. So I'm jump down to 15. And the seven angels sounded, and there were a great voice in heaven saying, The kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Lord and of Christ, and He reign forever and ever. Right. So that's what's gonna happen when World War III happened. He's gonna use these nations to take each other out, and Yahushua is gonna be ruling over these nations, and that's why it says all these nations is given to the Lord, because all these kingdoms is no longer in power. But in church, they'll tell you, oh, pray for America, pray for America to get better, or pray for Ukraine or whatever. Which is problematic because, according to this, America can't be here if Christ is coming back. Russia can't be a superpower if Christ is coming back. China can't be a superpower if Christ is coming back. The European Union can't be here if Christ is coming back. NATO can't be here if Christ is coming back. So all of that got to be destroyed. So that's the problem that we got. You got people that want to save this place, and we see that this place is crumbling. But in reality, for the so-called believers that want Jesus to come back and all that stuff, he can't come back if America's still here. So when this place is destroyed, he will make his grand entrance. As he's destroying this place, he's making his grand entrance. Let's get Micah 4 and 8 real quick. It says Micah 4 and 8. And thou, O tower of the flock and stone and stronghold in the stronghold of Zion, of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, even the first dominion, and the kingdom shall come to the daughters of Jerusalem. So that's what the kingdom of heaven for, the daughters of Jerusalem, which is metaphorically speaking of the Israelites, us. So, like I said, he's not coming back to save everybody. This Bible is not for everybody. It's only about, our, salvation and the roadmap to how we can get back to that path of that salvation, so we won't get burnt up here in America with nuclear fire. And so it says, and thou, O tower of the flock and stronghold of the daughter of Zion, unto thee shall it come, and even the first dominion, the kingdom shall come to the daughter of Zion. Now, now why dost thou cry out aloud? Okay, well, yeah, but no, so yeah, I just want to 8. So, like I said, so we see, what's going to happen. So we're gonna, we got next, and so like I said, so then in the fourth, so yeah, that's basically it. Though we're gonna end it right there, but so that's basically it. Like, as these trumpets blow, these different events, transpire, and like I said, we still got as far as the trumpets, we still got, what they call the famine or Jacob's trouble. I heard, shit, things gonna get worse for us. So cause we gotta, keep the faith through, like, all the stuff that's about to happen. And but the church, you go to church to talk about, oh yeah, a blessing coming your way. I mean, not to say that God can't bless you, but we got Jacob's trouble coming our way. We got hell coming our way. We got destruction coming our way. And only way we can get protected if we come back to the law, statutes, and commandments and keep the faith. That's what's coming our way. But, I listen to some of these pastors and they act like, that they're still trying to grab all the money. It's like a grab money scheme for them. They're still trying to, preach all this prosperity stuff and getting you a new car and a new house and all this crazy mess. Nothing wrong with it, but they're using your need to want certain things as a way to, to try to, they're using like your natural, lust for having nice things, and they're using like, yeah, God gonna do this and do that. God never promised anybody nothing, except for, salvation and getting us up out of here. But he never promised us to be rich or poor or whatever the case may be. So, but the blessing that we receive is great and it's cool, but the church will have you think that God owes you something. Like, like, He owe you. He don't owe you nothing. If anything, we owe him. So, and we owe him, our time and our sacrifice in our life, and we owe him our end of the deal, which is coming back to these commandments and statutes, so he can hold up his end of the deal and destroy this place for us and put us back on top, so we can be the kings and queens and the prince and the princesses that we know that we ought to be and that we once were. So yeah, um, that's the seven trumpets. They like I said, they all coincide with history. You know, it's not that mystical. It's all historical events that we can link up to with dates and dates and times. And like I said, it's not a detailed description. It's just like I said, John was able to see key points in history, and he wrote about it. And then just so happened, we can look at those things and see that how it came to pass. Then we got other prophets that get into a little more detail. Like I said, we just just skimming across these different things. We can we'll go deeper into like a lot of other aspects of it. Even the 10-headed dragon. We'll can get into how that's a government system. Versus an actual 10-headed dragon. So yeah. So hopefully, we got a better understanding of Revelation and understand that this is not a spooky book. Nothing to like not read. Just it's metaphorical. You gotta, know a little bit about world history to understand it, and know the other, prophecies that come before it. But like I said, it's not that deep like how the Christian church would try to make it seem. It's talking about governments and governments going to war with each other and governments losing. And then the ultimate power coming into power, which is Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai, and us Israelites being that ruling nation that's that new superpower forever and ever, like it says in Daniel, the saints shall take the kingdom. So yeah, that's I don't want to be too long. I'm already a little bit too long, but so I want to say shalom. Hopefully y'all understand. You got a better understanding and was edified on that. So I want to say shalom, and I'm out of here. Peace.